What is democracy? The belief in freedom and equality between people, or a system of government based on this belief, in which power is either held by elected representatives or directly by the people themselves, in which the government ensure to uphold the principles.
Today we will be talking about political marginalization, cultural domination, and racial inequality. How about the commonalities between these three topics? These three topics are just some of the possible outcomes that may be derived from the lack of democracy and will be discussed further into the video.
Effects of the absence of democracy. Based from Alan Amenire, the effects of lack of democracy and the rule of law is a problem that does not discriminate. Whether you are a corporation or a startup, rich or poor, educated or illiterate, employed or unemployed, there comes a moment where the lack or absence of democracy may lead to the people having dominant ideals that can cause inequality amongst the nation. The goal of democracy is to unite the people for the sake of themselves and the country, not to divide or separate them.
Political marginalization is the absence of right to political participation and to political representation of migrants on the same legal basis as host populations, thus developing a notion of memberships to a city's population. In relation to democracy, the absence of absolute democratic rule can cause discrimination among minority of political rulers. Such examples are the participation and involvement of the Liberal Party within the current presidential administration of Duterte.
Racial inequality. It is referred to as the discrimination based on race and opportunity for socioeconomic advancement or access to goods and services. Its relation to democracy is that its continuous discrimination against the people can lead to racial inequality, especially if those oppressed are the ones that is defined by race or color. Its modern application is these minorities that are faced with additional burden of fighting, of biases that obstruct their way towards having a good education, better employment, and access to goods and services.
Cultural domination is the practice of promoting a more powerful culture over a least known or desirable culture. It is usually the case that the former belongs to a large economically or militarily powerful nation and the latter belongs to a smaller, less powerful one. In relation to democracy, cultural domination can influence imperialism, which obstructs citizens from having a proper education, better employment, and access to goods and services. In conclusion, those are only just three of the possible effects that the lack of democracy can be evident in the Philippines. Until now, it is still questionable on whether this country has truly attained true democracy, which leads to having a government for the people, by the people, and of the people. But seeing that we are controlled under a unitary presidential republic, is the Philippines really a democratic country?